When it comes to university, generally tuition and costs of textbooks and other materials that you need for your learning are going to be at a higher rate than they would typically be at a college. You want to keep that in mind as well financially. It was very clear that you're in university and you're really in university, okay? I had expectations of one thing, real hands-on practical learning, and instead I was sitting in lectures and getting textbooks. There's not a whole lot of education around what the difference is between going to a university for post-secondary and going to a college or going to an academy. I don't want to be here. I am not enjoying this. I felt like it wasn't necessarily my decision to go there. If it were truly up to me, I don't think I would have gone to post-secondary. I have 4 very important takeaways that I want to share with you to make sure that you are making the very best decision for you when it comes to what you're going to do for theater school. What is up, everybody? I hope that you are having a fantastic week so far, and welcome back to Danny Sylvan Vlog. I mean, y'all saw the title. You saw the title of this video. This is the very first video in the new series right here on Danny Sylvan Vlog that I'm calling Unpopular Opinion. In this series, I will be discussing an opinion that I have that is not necessarily popular and sharing it with you. This is definitely content that I would love to see some engagement in the comments. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your thoughts. This is just mine, okay? If you have something different or opposing to that, let's talk about it. With that said, the title of this very first unpopular opinion is, do not go to university for theater school. However, that's a bit dramatic because it is not a complete sentence. The complete sentence is, do not go to a university for theater school unless you are 100% sure that you want to go to a university for theater school. Before I get into the meat of this unpopular opinion, I'm just going to give you guys a bit of history as far as my experience going to theater school. So if I start back in the very beginning, after I graduated high school, there were a few things that were happening in my life personally, as well as just as far as education, where I did decide to take what's called a victory lap year, and I did go back to high school for another year. Once that year had come to an end, it came to about the time where I needed to start making decisions as far as what I wanted to do to continue my education in post-secondary. I knew I wanted to go to a theater school. I just didn't know if I specifically wanted to go to a university or if I wanted to go to a college or any other kind of academy or anything like that. To be honest, back when I was in high school, I didn't know a whole lot about different like theater academies and things like that. To me, it was pretty cookie cutter, university or college. So when making this decision, because I didn't know which specific one I wanted to stream into, I just kind of decided that I would apply to various universities and colleges into their theater programs and see which one I get into. To be honest, I was real cocky back then. I was really cocky as far as my talents, and that's another thing that I would caution anybody who is at that point where they're gonna kind of start making decisions as far as what they want to do for post-secondary. You are not the greatest at what you do. I had to learn that the hard way. Trust me, you are not. You're still so young. You still have so much to learn. So I went into a lot of these auditions, because that's how it works for theater school. I went into a lot of these auditions for these post-secondary institutions like, I got this. I don't really need to prep. You know, I kind of know my monologue. I kind of know, like, you know, if I needed to perform a song, I kind of know the song. You know, like, I got this. I'm me. It's me. Hello? You're going to want to take me. What? it was ugly. The cockiness was, it was atrocious. So, when it came to that, I was very ill prepared, and as a result got a real kick in the face because I didn't actually get accepted into any theater schools. The only thing that I got accepted into was a program at a university which was tied to theater, but it wasn't actually the theater program. It was like theater and humanities, and it was very heavy on humanities. So when I saw that, I was like, I do not want to do this. Parental influences said otherwise. And as a result, I ended up going to that one university that did actually accept me for the program I didn't actually apply for. Anyway, so I went there back in 2013, and at the time I was like, you know what, I don't want to be here. I am not enjoying this. You know, I felt like it wasn't necessarily my decision to go there. So I wasn't having the greatest time, but I was like, you know what, I'm here, so I might as well make some friends, and I might as well enjoy some of the events and kind of things that this school has to offer. So that's what I did. Because I got that kick in the head the first time I did my auditions for theater schools, I decided that I was going to take another round of it, but this time humble myself. I decided that I was going to audition for the one school that in my first round of auditions stuck out to me as a really cool, genuine school, and it was a university. There was a bit of pressure for me when it came to going to university as a post-secondary institution rather than, say, a college, because I would be the first in my direct family to go to university. So that was like kind of a big deal. And for that reason, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I guess I'm leaning towards university, but honestly, I don't know. And that's something that I will say. We who love theater, us thespians, darling, we, in high school, in hindsight, are taught very little about kind of what it is to go to a post-secondary institution for theater school. There's not a whole lot of education around what that experience is going to be like and what the difference is between going to a university for post-secondary and going to a college or going to an academy. I think quite honestly because a lot of drama teachers, and I love drama teachers, this is no shade to any high school drama teachers. I personally loved all my drama teachers in high school. They were all fantastic. That was a great experience. Had like high school, not high school drama, but drama in high school. That was a really, really fun experience for me, but now I'm rambling. I say all that to say that a lot of those teachers didn't actually go to theater school. Often they go to like teachers college and they study English and might have a bit of experience in drama or theater, but they didn't necessarily go and study theater at school. So they probably didn't cover it because they probably genuinely didn't know, you know, what the experience is like of going to a theater school and how that differs from a college to a university and whatever else. So I applied to that one university that had what looked to be a great theater program, and on the spot I did get an acceptance. Was super happy about that. And then reality started to kick in once I actually started attending that university. Early on, it was very clear that, you know, you're in university and you're really in university, okay? It is very academics driven. It is very by the book and textbook driven. It is very lecture based and just very academia. And quite honestly, I think I was very blind in going to a university for theater school because I was expecting more practical learning, more hands-on learning, where we're actually getting up and on our feet and moving. Also, the way that this post-secondary institution set up their curriculums and their programs were that you would basically be exposed to all aspects of theater in the first year, and then you kind of decide what you want to stream into for years, the rest of your years there. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes even 7 with this school. But anyway, you decide what you want to stream into. You decide what you want to stream into for the rest of your studies there, however the hell long that's gonna be. In a way, I felt a little deceived, and again, a lot of this is on me. I'm not necessarily sitting here and saying that I was tricked by the university or anything like that, but I am saying that you just kind of, as a student coming fresh out of high school, you don't really do a whole lot of research. You just, you know, you hear buzz here and buzz there of like, oh, this is a really good theater school, this is a really good theater school, and you're like, okay, I'll just go. You don't really look much at, like, at least I know I didn't look much at what the curriculum is, how the program is set up, all of that. So that made it difficult, because when I went there I had expectations of one thing, real hands-on practical learning, and instead I was sitting in lectures and getting textbooks and all of that. And of course that is going to be a part of any educational institution, but it was a lot more heavy in this university setting than I think it would be elsewhere in, say, a college or academy. On top of that, of course, when it comes to university, generally tuition and costs of textbooks and other materials that you need for your learning are going to be at a higher rate than they would typically be at a college. So you want to keep that in mind as well financially. Are you going to be equipped to deal with that kind of responsibility? Of course, there are scholarships and there are grants and there are student loans as options. But if you want to avoid going down that path, at least the path of a student loan, just be sure to research also how much this is going to cost you at the end of it all. Another reason, and this is a huge one, why I do suggest that you do not go to university for theater school unless you are 100% sure you want to go to university for theater school, is because at the end of it, although I learned so much and had my knowledge of theater and the works of theater expanded to a great degree, a lot of that information, I'm not sure how well I'll be able to utilize it in my career. And I'm currently in my career, and I still don't know how well I'll be able to use a lot of that information. I find that with other things and other programs like college programs, if you know specifically that you want to pursue acting, then go into an acting school and go and pursue that specific career. If you know you want to go into directing, then look into directing courses and directing programs and things like that. Whatever you want to do as far as your theater career, just be sure that you're very clear of what that is, and be sure to pursue that specific thing, because although I have knowledge in all of these other areas, and who knows, maybe later in life it will be useful, a lot of it, honestly, I haven't found much use for it now. One of the key takeaways that I will say that I had from attending a university leveled theater school was networking and being able to build connections with people, whether it's on the educational level or on the industry level, whether it's through the extracurriculars that you involve yourself in. Like, the university did provide me with a pretty large network of people who, for various different areas of the creative world, I can connect with, because it's like I literally was in class with you, or I literally was in this extracurricular program with you, and I've seen and witnessed the work that you can do, and I think you would be great for this project. So instead of doing, you know, some big call, I'll just call on you. And vice versa. You've seen what I can do, you'll just call on me. It's kind of a foot in the door of the industry. That's what it can be looked at as far as networking. However, who's to say that you can't also do that at a college level or through an academy? So It's kind of like every pro that I have, I kind of have to be like, well, who's to say that wouldn't happen if I was to go to a college? Who's to say that wouldn't happen if I were to go to an academy and study, or just take a smaller program, you know? To close off this video, I have 4 very important takeaways that I want to share with you to make sure that you are making the very best decision for you when it comes to what you're going to do for theater school. The first takeaway that I have for you is please make sure to do your research. This is something that I honestly failed to do, and as I mentioned earlier, I don't think that high school had prepared me quite enough for this massive decision that I needed to make, which was for theater school. Research what their program structure is, research what tuition costs and textbook costs are going to be before you decide to go to a university or college or academy. Also look at what the expected timeline of the program is, and also look up what the realistic timeline of the program is. Often they say, you know, this can get done in 4 years. It's structured for a 4-year program. But what is it really? If you have connections to anyone who is going to that post-secondary institution, whether it's a university or college, be sure to reach out to them and ask them, you know, you went to this school, how long did it take you to complete your studies? Is this realistically how long it's going to take? And go through that motion. The second takeaway that I have is that you must understand that this is probably going to be the very first adult decision that you're ever going to make, and it is going to alter the rest of your life. And I'm not saying that to scare you, I'm just saying that to open your eyes to the weight and magnitude of this decision. When you really think about it, going to a post-secondary institution for learning in theater school is going to propel you for what your career is going to look like. That's why we go to university. That's why we go to college, because we want to get the tools to learn and practice a specific craft and then take it on for the rest of our lives. So this is where that starts. High school is supposed to expose you to all career choices, and then this is the first decision that you make that is going to propel your career. So it is not a decision that should be taken lightly, and as long as you understand that, you'll be able to make an informed decision. With that said, my third takeaway is that once you've made your decision, you should definitely sit down and have an adult conversation with your parents or guardians. And when I say an adult conversation, I truly do mean that. You want to approach them through a meeting. Literally say, I would like to set up a meeting with you. I'd like to sit you down and I'd like to tell you my decision for post-secondary education. And when you do that, you want to sit there and present them with the research that you've done and tell them a little bit about what went into your decision. This is going to allow most parents to see what a mature young adult you've become, and also give them the opportunity to know that you're serious about this decision and that you did take the time and do the research to make this decision. It's gonna make it a harder case to fight against you. I also want to highlight that parents are probably gonna hate me for saying this, but your decision can also be that you don't want to go to school, period. This is something that I was battling with when I was making my decision. If it were truly up to me, I don't think I would have gone to post-secondary. And it's crazy to think about because I don't know exactly what my life would look like now. All I know is it would look very different. But there are ways that, at least in this career, you can maneuver without necessarily having to go to university. I mean, you hear it all the time, people booking these great gigs, whether it's in theater, film, TV, you know, as far as acting, or as far as, I would say specifically if you're going into acting, you don't necessarily need the education via university or via college to be successful. If you specifically take the time and kind of patch out what your education, what your own built curriculum is going to look like, then you can do it. You can achieve it. It doesn't necessarily have to be through a post-secondary institution. You can definitely do it your own. However, with that said, be sure that you are serious about that decision as well. Still, if you're deciding not to go to university and that's the decision you've made and that's what you're going to present to your parents or your guardians, be sure that you've done the research of what the alternative is for that. I'm not going to this post-secondary institution. However, I see that there's these courses offered. You know, it's 4 weeks of intensive acting training, and I feel like this is better suited for me, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Be sure that you're doing that research as well. Don't just say, you know,
oh my gosh, like, I just don't want to go to school, like, education's just not my thing.
Don't be like,
well, I think Kelsey wants to like work retail for the next few years, so I'm just gonna work retail with Kelsey, and that's my decision.
Like, no, don't do that. Do not do that. Make sure that you have that decision, and like I said, sit down with your parents or guardians and articulate exactly what your decision is and ask for their support in that. And the very last takeaway that I have for this video is that in whatever decision you make sure that you make the absolute most of that experience, and please don't live in regret. If you do decide to go to university for theater school, first of all, don't call me. Okay? Don't call me when your expectation is not meeting what it actually is. But aside from that, enjoy it. You know, you're there, you've made the decision, be confident and proud in your decision, and especially if you've taken the takeaways previous to this one, and do your research and, you know, understand the weight of this decision and talk with your parents about it. Once you get there and you're starting that journey, enjoy it, be happy with it. If you're also deciding not to go to university or not to go to a post-secondary institution in general, enjoy that experience as well. You know, carving out your own curriculum and kind of making the most out of your own way of learning. Enjoy it. Do not regret it. That would be my number one thing, because there's a plan for all of our lives. And I mean, I personally believe in God. Whatever that higher source for you is, there's a plan carved out for your life. And if you're going through it and it's coming to fruition, you're doing just fine. So be confident with that decision that you make. All right. Well, that comes to the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't that bad, right? Unpopular opinion, but it wasn't brutal, you know. But that next one, you know what, y'all ain't even ready for that. You're just gonna have to stay tuned. You're just gonna have to stay tuned for that, because, okay? So, with all of that said, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to share this video if you feel like it has brought you any more insight on your decision to continue your education in theater, or maybe not. And also be sure to like, comment, and most definitely subscribe. I love you for watching, and I will see you next time right here on Danny Sylvan Vlog. Bye, everybody.